you innocently, start to open your channel and you let whatever is or everything that is in the quantum field to flow through you, then this is a real problem, because you become a vessel of light. So then this is when you need to have boundaries, and you need to know exactly how to navigate that space.
I like to believe that I don't have free will, and I don't want my free will, because I want my free will to be God's will for my life. That's what I want my will to be. I want my will to be my mission. Everything else I will work on. It's like my job is to be on assignment. Therefore, all of me that wants to, find these loopholes or find these shortcuts, or those parts of me where my human consciousness starts to get desperate, it's like, remember, you're connected to thy will, and that's the only will that needs to be done moving forward.
Someone reached out to me to offer $2 million to have access to my channel. He was asking me to sell my mission for whatever money. And I said no, but that person was very knowledgeable around that. And when I said no, I was attacked.
Today is Livia Devi, a multidimensional mentor and channel who co-creates with the 7D Arcturian Council of Light. She guides entrepreneurs and creators into higher states of consciousness and a new era of evolution. Similarly, I've channeled Arcturians, Blue Avians, Pleiadians, Sirians, and even Ascended Masters, and I believe their role in humanity's ascension is paramount, but only when we remember who's in command. Yes, the ability to channel higher dimensional guidance should be a respected soul assignment, and they are middlemen, nothing more, nothing less. They will never replace a relationship with God. Because the moment our mission becomes in service to them instead of with them, we've left our sovereignty behind. So, today we're asking, when we channel higher dimensional beings, what is that fine line between serving the mission and serving their mission? Are we in service, or have we become puppets? Let's dive into it. Welcome, Livia Devi, to the Spiritual Debate Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me here, Victoria. And I love the topic of today's discussion. And I'm excited to, go with you a little bit deeper into it. Yes.
Yes, me too. It's very rare right now that I find other channelers that I'm like, I feel like we get each other, and where we're going to go in this conversation is going to be super beneficial for a lot of us, because we are opening up and we are having these beautiful interdimensional encounters. But I think for a lot of people, sometimes they don't know what the role is with these different interdimensional beings. So for those of you and anyone who's listening that's new to Livia's work, Livia, why don't you take me on like a brief journey down memory lane to your first encounter with an interdimensional, and then how your relationship with the Arcturians developed?
Yes, so everything started for me in 2016, and this is when my awakening happened. It was a very fast-track process, and I think many people can relate to that, because nowadays, because of the energetics of the planet, people are awakening very fast. And I was trained by the Sirius Council of Light, which is a 12-dimensional consciousness, for 1 year before becoming a trans channel. And my relationship with interdimensional civilizations happened unexpectedly, if I can say like that, because, I worked 15 years as an executive in the corporate world in Palo Alto, in Silicon Valley. And then when this event happened to me, it was unexpected, but I think I chose it before incarnation. So, when I stepped into my awakening and into this vast process of, exploring consciousness, I retained my, critical thinking. Mm-hmm. And I was very much focused on understanding who the Sirius Council of Light was. And, in order for them to train me, we developed a relationship. The way, you meet a new person and, you are starting to know that person before it becomes a friend, the same way I have done with the Sirius Council of Light. And, I was asking so many questions, and I was testing them all the way. And it was a beautiful co-creation. And it lasted, this period of like getting to know each other and understanding their intentions and my intentions and how I'm going to be trained with them to become a trans channel for the 7D Arcturian Council of Light. It was incredible. And many people nowadays, as you said, are opening to channel, and it's a journey that they are taking, and they become very excited about connecting with interdimensional civilizations, with their higher self, with different star nations, and so on. But this space has to be navigated with awareness, with consciousness, with discernment, and responsibility. Yes. And, this is what I have been taught by the Sirius Council of Light. And, this consciousness from Sirius, they loved very much my critical thinking and the fact that I didn't put them on a pedestal, that I didn't open my body and my channel towards them straight away, that I was asking questions that were, in order to understand the co-creation with them. And when everything went, after a while, after a couple of months of getting to know each other, then my training started for 1 year, because, people are asking me, it's like, how did you become a trans channel? It's like, who taught you that? And I didn't have a physical teacher. I had non-physical teachers. My non-physical teachers were the 12D Sirius Council of Light. And, I was trained by them in understanding the quantum field and how consciousness flows into the space of the quantum realities. And they taught me a lot of quantum physics and mechanics in order to understand how reality is created and to understand how they are bridging with me through these training processes. Wow. And it was a 1 year training that they told me that we trained you in 1 year for other people in 40 years. And now it's time for you to connect to your soul and star family, which is the 7D Arcturian Council of Light that I'm a trans channel for, which, my consciousness is part of their consciousness. So this process of channeling, when a human being is awakening and they start ascending and they start, going up their chakras. Yeah. Because this is when the connection is happening, when people are going up their chakras and they start, their crown chakra to open up to different communication lines towards different civilizations. This is the moment when, people need to understand and be trained and master that field. Because if you don't master it, someone else will master you, So it's like you need to be trained into that. And for you to understand the responsibility, firstly, as a human being, because we are sovereign here, and these beings are sovereigns as well. So it's like we need to stay in sovereignty and into a beautiful interdependency, equality, and equanimity, and treat them like our friends, and to understand that there is an exchange of value and co-creation in that, and nobody's on a pedestal, like they are not on a pedestal, and we as human beings are not on a pedestal either. So I feel like what the Sirius Council of Light taught me is like how to actually connect through this, frequency of divine unconditional love and understanding the healthy way of relating. They actually helped me to understand the healthy way of relating with everything around me, not only with them, but like with human beings, with nature, with different levels of consciousness, with, animal kingdom, plant kingdom, mineral kingdom. And this is when you understand, how you relate with the universe, then you understand where you are placed in this, in your universe, and, how everything is a co-creation, and we are creator and co-creator in the same time. So, to answer to your question, Victoria, I love this topic because, there are so many people that get so mega excited about becoming a channel. And I see that they don't know what spaces are navigating. And there is a lot of interference that is happening nowadays with intention, towards many light workers, that they open their channel and they don't even know what they are streaming through. And there is no sense of understanding of what's happening beyond the immediate reality. Yes. So yeah, thank you for asking. It's incredible.
So good. And it's just such a beautiful introduction into the space. I just resonate with so much of what you're sharing here. The thing that's really sticking out at me from the beginning is one of the first things you said is that when you started working with the Council of Light, you never lost your critical thinking. This is really important because a lot of times, and I'm sure you've seen this, there's a lot of overgeneralization of the beings that we believe we're connecting with, right? My angels are all around me. But if I was to challenge somebody and say, what angels do you believe are around you? A lot of times they wouldn't be able to discern that. Oh, this angel because this, and this, because I challenged this, and this. I've developed this relationship over this amount of time. My ancestors are with me. Well, I don't know about you, Livia, but I don't want all my ancestors to be always around me. A lot of them have a lot of interference. So if all my ancestors are all around me, I think I should be a little bit careful about what ancestor I'm allowing, right? Generalizing the invocation. In the beginning of my awakening, I did a lot of that as well because, of course, we're in this time of accessibility and there's everything instantaneous. And so you start to see all these beautiful races and origins and types of beings and all these gorgeous channelers. And you think, well, if they can do that, then I can do that, right? If they can do that, then I can do that. And if we don't have critical thinking, but also if we don't have the fortification of our own energy field, the foundation of our own energy field, what I'm finding is a lot of people are open and very exposed, and then they're following maybe someone else's method, or they're following what they think is the method without actually finding what is naturally coming forward for them. Because what I'm hearing and what you're saying is there was not this force of connection with the Council of Light. This was something that happened naturally. You developed the relationship. From there was training that naturally, from what I'm gathering, came forward. And then from there, when you were complete with the training, naturally what came forward was your connection with the Arcturians and how your consciousnesses were connected. Is that what I'm hearing from you here? Hey there, it's me, V. So, as you can imagine, this is my first podcast. And so I'm learning all of these new ropes. And did you know how important ratings were? I didn't. I had absolutely no idea, and I'm so thankful for the support of my team for reminding me of how important having your ratings, your honest reflection of the podcast, how much that benefits us. So, I'm that annoying person in the middle of everyone else's episodes that I fast forward that hopefully you're listening to right now. And if you've got 30 seconds, it would mean the absolute world to us if you could take a moment and just rate this podcast, give it a thumbs up, share it with your bestie that you want to go head to head with, so we can continue to spread this message, debate about the truth, find what the truth is, and have the kinds of conversations that truly help us awaken in integrity. All right, back to the episode.
Exactly. And I still, I believe that not everyone is meant to be a channel or trans channel. This is very much within the soul signature, and it's part of your divine soul mission. So if it's part of your divine soul mission to be a trans channel, then this is a path that you need to walk. But what I am seeing in the spiritual community, firstly, there are so many people awakening, and when people are awakening, they are becoming the seekers. Yeah, they start to seek different modalities and different energetic exercises and different trainings in order to walk this path of self-actualization, self-realization. And, for spirituality nowadays, became like a trend, let's be a channel because it's cool. It's it's not like that, and in my case, I didn't even choose to be a trans channel. I didn't even choose this consciously, it just happened because I had to be activated when I was 33 years old. I had to be on my mission on planet Earth, and this is my mission. I never it was not not even in my imagination. It was not something that I was wanting to become. I was so well being an executive in the corporate world. I had a very good life. I was very happy. I like to be in leadership roles. I like to manage people. This just happened, because it was meant to happen as part of my divine soul mission. And then, I had a lot of, it was a period of time within that training of 1 year when it was an inner conflict and I had to resolve everything within myself. And, the Sirius Council helped me to shift through so many identities, and like they actually helped me to quantum shift realities and to let go of all versions of myself and to discover on my own this new path, because it was not like something that happened to me and I didn't want it. It was something that happened to me and I didn't understood it. Why did I chose it in this way, So it's like, it was an entire process. It was not like, oh, I sat in meditation or I went into a plant medicine ceremony and suddenly my channel is open and now I'm cool that I'm, trans-channeling interdimensional beings. And I think this is a trend in spirituality, which is coming from, novelty and innocence. I definitely look at with so much compassion towards people because it is an innocent spirituality. When people start the human race right now, they are going through this evolutionary process like children. We don't know because we don't have any reference point in the past in our history to teach us. Well, if you remember past lives from Atlantis and Lemuria and Egypt, we do have a reference point then. But how many people nowadays are remember with accuracy past lifetimes in order to understand what had happened and what we have experienced on planet Earth and what we have right now? So people that are just awakening, they are very innocent and they are, exploring spirituality in order to find themselves. This is the seeker path, and they are trying everything. And through innocence, they are opening to channel. But then what can happen if you innocently, start to open your channel and you let whatever or everything that is in the quantum field to flow through you, then this is a real problem. And this is what I'm always telling to my students. It's like the quantum field is a vast space where everything exists. And there are different levels of consciousness and different frequency bandwidth and different civilizations. Everything that we can ever imagine exists in the quantum field. So then when you open your beautiful, crown chakra and your beautiful lotus flower towards the quantum field, everything wants to seep in because you become a vessel of light. So then this is when you need to have boundaries and you need to know exactly how to navigate that space, and you need to stay very grounded in your physical body and, to ask questions, like why, if something is flowing through you or wants to connect to you. You ask question, who is that consciousness that wants to, what is their intention? Why they want to connect with you? Why they want to co-create with you? What's the purpose of that interaction? And so on and so forth. Because I've seen, people that they are being taken over by different streams of different, civilizations and consciousnesses. And this is detrimental for their emotional body, mental body, electrical body, physical body. And, this is when responsibility has to come into play. And I feel like, as I said at the beginning, people are exploring spirituality and the spiritual place in a very innocent way, like, Alice in the Wonderworld, trying to go to the rabbit holes and trying to find out what's happening there. But it's time, and I'm also saying it's time for, light workers and light leaders and channelers and energy healers and quantum healers to go to the next level of becoming more mature and more responsible of this process. Because what's happening in this awakening is that we are activating within ourselves after our fifth dimensional abilities, which, in 50 years and 100 years from now, all these fifth dimensional abilities of channeling, telekinesis and, clear vision and astral projection and all this stuff is part of how our physical body and our consciousness is equipped with. So it's not like something outside of us. It's like we start to actually master aspects of ourselves that we didn't explore until now. And, it's like, when you start to tap into different abilities, you are not playing like a child anymore. You start to say, okay, I have this ability, how I can use it in a responsible way, in a way to not hurt myself or others, and how I can probably use it to elevate the collective consciousness of this planet to be at that level.
Yes.
And this is why, so many people are being activated in different fifth dimensional abilities. And when they take that seriously and they are taking with responsibility and ownership and know, like, they are really serious in like learning how to navigate that space, they become a conduit. They are pioneering for the entire collective how that ability can be activated within themselves. And we have to be role models, because if we are not setting up a standard when it comes to, how to connect, then it will be a chaos and confusion. And it's already happening at some levels in the spiritual world, because people, as you said, they don't have the discernment and they don't know how to navigate those spaces. Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes. This is something that I see very commonly because in my work as an energy healer, I mean, the amount of interference people are coming up with in their fields right now is just unbelievable. Partially because those truths are ready to come forward, whether that be, past life experiences that need to be gifts in this lifetime and they're actually naturally ready for it, or because I call it crosswires. Like they got caught in the crosswires of like, I did this ayahuasca ceremony coupled with this healer who is out of integrity, who had all these energy attachments, coupled with the lack of integration I had, coupled with psychosis, right? And then you kind of put all of that into this giant pot and then you're like, now what? And I think in my journey, when I have had, most notably, I had multiple nefarious entity attachments from reckless channeling from 2021 into 2022. And then through the clearing of that, through energy healing, then in 2023, I was visited by a being. And this was the first time I'd ever been visited by a being. And he said to me, you need to contribute to something called the Great Merge. It's time. I thought, the Great Merge? I've never heard the Great Merge in my entire life. And then all of this information came forward about how, Earth, we need to help Earth. Earth is in a time of harmonizing her frequencies, that yes, Earth is evolving, but we need to really focus our energy on helping Earth release some of this karmic density. And these were all new terms for me. And I'll never forget the first day after I channeled Tay, which is the guide that I work with for the Great Merge. I thought I was losing my mind, Livia. I remember taking my car and driving around the block and just walking circles. I was in a completely disassociative state. And my husband was messaging me being like, come home. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with all this information? Like, I just got out of healing all of these entity attachments and now this being is visiting me. I've never been visited. This is insane material. What, I'm supposed to help the world? I can't even help myself. I'm still struggling with all of this panic attack that I had been experiencing from these entities. It was just so much, too soon, too fast. Too much, too soon, too fast. And similar to your journey when you were saying, like, I needed to understand it. What I had to do was go home, let go of everything that I had just learned for that moment, and allow it to drip in slowly but surely. Allow my strength over time and my development of my relationship with him to build, right? So then I called him forward and I tried to understand a little bit more. Okay, help me understand, where is this going? What do we need to do? Why does this matter for the collective, right? Okay, then completely let it go. Then a little bit more. Okay, hello, hi Tay, what's up? Let's do this. Okay, we have our first assignment. Here's what we need to do for the collective. It was building blocks. But that first time that he came through, it completely blew out my mind. It completely blew out my nervous system. And I think about how many people right now are going through those types of experiences where they don't have, one, the proper support, but two, they just try to absorb all of it. It's like, how do you understand the quantum field in 24 hours? I don't know, ask a spiritual seeker. They're certainly trying. How do we understand why interference exists on this planet? Why evil exists? Well, I'll try to tell that to a spiritual seeker and suddenly they're in psychosis. And so I want to know on your journey, because really now being a trans channel for the Arcturians, that's a huge responsibility. It's probably a lot on your conduit. I'm curious, how do you keep yourself in check between this is enough information for me to deliver at this time? And whoa, that I need some time to process that. Like, where is your line in the sand of like, I'm comfortable working with you as a conduit and I don't have strength to go all the way into this? Like, how do you navigate that on your journey?
Yeah, so my consciousness is actually linked with the Arcturian Council consciousness, and like we are evolving in the same time. My challenge was how fast I'm quantum shifting reality every day. Like, because I'm shifting very fast and my realities and everything is changing super fast, So that was my first challenge with them. It's not so much about the block of data, because my consciousness is wired in a way to receive information. And, the Arcturian Council of Light and we've done massive work in the quantum field and multidimensional level within different streams of multiverses when it comes to planet Earth, and then very grounded physical work on planet Earth as well. Building technologies is what we are doing all the time. We are building technologies and we are, creating newer timelines for humanity. So the information as such, like the way I'm connecting with them, so it is the council, and that is my higher self that is filtering information, and then that is actually coming, being translated by my pineal gland, and I start receiving the data. Sometimes when we have big projects and, big assignments, I'm being coded. So I have to I'm taking a couple of days to integrate energetically. My non-physical being is integrating the entire process, and then I know what I have to do. I think at the beginning, what was really challenging for me was the fast pace of we were moving in a very accelerated pace, and we were doing so many things, and it was a little bit because they were teaching me how to integrate at the cellular level multidimensionality and how to navigate the multidimensional space in the same time, and to collapse completely time and space as components. And, I'm not living even right now in linearity, I'm living in the quantum time and space, So that was a process of it was a rewriting of the code at the cellular level, which took me some time. And that was a bit challenging of integrating it. But since then, our work is the blocks of data that are coming, the missions that we have. Sometimes the council, in order to protect my sanity, because sometimes can be too much. And sometimes, it's my human consciousness that comes into play. Like you said, this entire assignment with your guide, and you are overwhelmed by it. It's how am I going to do that? And where should I even start? Sometimes the council is dripping information in my consciousness, and they are not telling me the entire unfolding, because if I see the entire unfolding, I'm going to tell them, guys, this is not going to happen. This is too impossible. And they are just giving me pieces and pieces and pieces, like droplets, for me to actually, and it's very playful in a way, because they are it's very playful, because they keep me into this super high frequency of joy and happiness and divine unconditional love. And then in the same time we work, but my inner child is entertained, and it is this divine, beautiful flow. But then we are doing this massive work with massive implications and incredible technologies. But in the same time, they found a way to make it digestible for me in terms of how my mind is processing information, how my pineal gland is actually, translating energy, and how is that being projected in the holographic field. So it's it's a beautiful dance, and I learned to dance with them in that way. Of course, my human consciousness, so I have my, multidimensional Arcturian consciousness, and my human consciousness that is always changing and transforming and adapting, because I'm in a physical body. So when my consciousness is quantum shifting in time and space, my body is being upgraded in order for my body to follow as well. Yeah. Because as we are moving towards fifth dimensional embodiment, is the body has to sustain those frequencies. So it's for me, it's always a process of being upgraded and downloading information and creating and, moving forward. And sometimes, at the beginning, when I start trans channeling, I was straight in the fifth dimension with them, and I was accessing the fifth dimensional new earth. And I was there in 2019. And I was where is everyone? Because I was tuning in, and there are only 100 people fully embodied in their physical body. And I was asking the council, it's dear council, it's what are we doing here? It's nice. I have everything I ever wanted. I can play, but where are we serving? And they said, we have to descend. We have to go on the 4-dimensional bridge, and we have to access the higher realms of the 3rd dimension. So this is when I start bridging with entrepreneurial communities, and start actually to activate leaders into their divine soul mission, and start I activate people at the leadership level that will ripple effect, it's going down on their downline, the codes and everything. So this is when we started to actually start activating leaders. But, and it was a little bit challenging for me, from that space where everything is unity consciousness and oneness, to come back into the duality and contrast and navigate these spaces here. That was, a different story altogether. But, this is our mission, and, we are here to help the collective. So we need to adapt, to all changes within our missions. Yeah.
I love that you use the word adapt, because to be able to have the access and the embodiment that you have worked to be able to get to, and then come down into this shit show that we call planet Earth right now, I'm sure it could be really jarring. Now, I'm curious, what have your guides said about what we're seeing in terms of like the nefarious and evil and dark forces and systems that are at play on planet Earth? And my second question on that is, I have seen in my journey in trying to bring these messages to light that it's almost like the higher I get in terms of maybe someone's reach or impact or success, the harder it is to kind of find those that have stayed pure in their vibration and have actually been able to get to this 5D consciousness and truly submit themselves to doing the work to get there. And I have found it actually quite hard to be able to, I wouldn't say move forward, because for me, I'm always going to move forward, Livia. Like, there's no doubt about that. Like, we're going for the world. But I find that it's hard right now to get to the world, meaning to get these messages to the world stage. It personally has felt very challenging. I've had a lot of pushback when it has come to talking about integrity, talking about channeling accurately, talking about interference, because I'm, a fear-mongering, separation consciousness teacher. That's how I kind of end up getting framed. Not always, of course, but I'd love to kind of unpack that a little bit with you. How have you stayed on your mission, knowing what you know, but then also coming back to the battleground of planet Earth and seeing maybe the battles you have to climb to get these messages out? And then my first question as well, if that's okay with you.
Yes. And, you're right. This is not an easy field to navigate, especially when it comes to, spiritual community, because there are many spiritual leaders. You know what happened? I need to share a little bit, the process, how a human can embody fifth dimensional consciousness in the most purest way and can keep it with integrity. Like my process when I was with 12D Sirius Council of Light, they went through an entire dissolution and dissolving all the ego structures that I had within myself when it comes to power, money, public validation, and fame. Like they start to actually dissolve everything within myself, because I was coming from a third dimensional structure in the corporate world, and I loved money, and I loved power, and I loved public validation, and I loved fame, because I was very successful. So they actually start dissolving all of that. And, it was a co-creation. I allowed them to dissolve those structures within myself at the cellular level in order to become an empty, pure vessel of light, to activate my original blueprint, my soul blueprint and my physical body blueprint, in order for my consciousness to flow into my body and make a link with the 7th Arcturian Council of Light. And it was not an easy process. But they told me, it's like, it's very hard for you right now in this training. That training was not like, crystals and flowers. No, that training was like complete, like, dark night of the soul amplified 10,000 fold every day. So it's like, it was very hard for me to navigate those spaces within my consciousness, to allow myself to be rebirthed into a new version of myself and to become pure 100% and be able to hold this frequency. Yeah.
Yes.
So this is what I've done. And I've seen so many people that are very influential and very well-known spiritual leaders, that they are being corrupted by other civilizations that, is actually completely, leading governments, and it's like took over the third dimensional leadership on this planet, only because they didn't work within their ego dissolution. For them, they can be both for money, power, public validation, and fame. So when someone is signing contracts, energetical contracts with other civilizations that they don't have a good agenda for humanity, then that person is compromised. But that person has an incredible success in the third dimension, because these dark civilizations are holding those structures in the third dimension.
So good. So good.
So this is what's happening. And there are so many names, that I know, public figures in that stream. And you know what's interesting? There are also channelers in that stream, and people are receiving information from that channels, which is completely corrupted. And it's like what technology and what sacred geometry is going in their fields is insane. It's like, it's like they don't see, because people don't see, they don't have the discernment, they don't realize. But when their higher self start like knocking at the door, there is like, hey, wake up, because what you are receiving is not good coding. Then they start actually waking up, and then they start their journey of like finding their answers within themselves, and not receiving answers from teachers and mentors and channelers anymore. And this is what I do with my students. With all my students that I have in my programs, I'm telling them like that. This is an empowerment program. This is a program where you are going to find yourself. We are just facilitating. We are just mirrors of your soul, and we are empowering you to discover who you are, and you are going to make your own choices, how you are going to move this forward within yourself. Nobody's telling you what processes to follow, what to do, how to live your life, what your soul mission is, how to build your business. Like, no, we are helping you facilitate your own transformation, where you are finding the answers within yourself, which is the truth of your inner being. So there is a lot that's happening on this planet right now. It's very contrasting, and darkness is infiltrated everywhere. It's like infiltrated in governments, it's infiltrated in third dimensional leadership and presidential institutions, it's infiltrated within, all the systems, political, economical, social systems, it's infiltrated with spiritual communities, infiltrated everywhere. And they try to control. But this matrix of control is collapsing because people like me and you and others are holding, with integrity and with, centeredness, this fifth dimensional frequency, which is more powerful, which brings divine unconditional love that is dissolving these structures. So, these structures are held by fear consciousness, separation consciousness, while we are holding the field of divine consciousness. So, the fear, what is fear? Because yesterday I was actually speaking and teaching someone, like, fear is just the unacceptance of love. Yeah. It's just the same, the other part of the coin. This is love, and the other side of the coin is fear. So when you don't accept love, is the resistance, is fear. But when you accept fear as being, a valid, feeling, that is alchemizing into love. So this is what's happening as we are in our heart consciousness, and we are leading from our heart, and we are holding so much divine unconditional love. Our output within the collective is actually alchemizing fear into love. And this is how they are losing ground, no matter how organized and structured they are, because they are mental. They are not in their physical body. They are not in their heart. They are just mental. So they just put mental fear-based structures and control structures. So this is how, people like you, like me, and others that are like, we are staying and holding the ground here. We are holding the field here, like we don't move in a way like, like we are staying like, like we have the very deep roots within our missions. And, this is how we are contributing. And this is how I feel that, light will always prevail, because love will always prevail, and love is always alchemizing everything.
So good, and so rich, and so full of absolute truth. I feel like two things are going to happen on this episode. One person is going to be like, I don't know what they just talked about. And then the other people are going to be like, oh, my language is being spoken right now. And that is the exact 3 to 5D split that you're talking about, because those that are still in that 3D, 4D kind of just constant mind versus soul, like, argument, back and forth. They're going to want to feel those truths, but there's going to be that resistance. And then when you speak, what's so gorgeous about the way that you speak is it's just pure truth. And every way that it's coming through, it's like, I don't even need to catch every single thing that you're saying to know that everything that you're saying is resonating on a cellular level. I think that's what's so blessed about this episode. And what I really also love that you're sharing here is the recognition that, yes, you do this work as a trance channel, and also the work that you have done has come with a great amount of responsibility and continued responsibility. I think sometimes I see this energy of like, oh, well, I've made it, because it's like, I know how to channel these beings and I work with this particular council and this is just what it is. Instead of the consistent over and over and over again, meeting where your energy is at on every given day nowadays and navigating it sovereignly. Because I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, but I've seen a lot of people who start very pure on their mission, and then somewhere along the way, desperation comes in, right? Fear comes in, desperation comes in, and then false light comes in. And because it feeds in unconsciously, people may not even realize they just kind of like looped in with some sort of civilization or interdimensional nefarious entity or energy or being or group. And they think that they're still kind of on this pure path, but something else kind of just came in. And I find that it's when we get lazy from stabilizing our light. Like in the times where I'm like, I don't need to try to, protect my energy or cleanse my field at the end of the day. Like I don't need to take these extra kind of protocols to just get my energy back to center. Then it's like that when those types of interferences come in. Has that been something that you've seen or noticed in your journey?
Waking up can feel like your whole world is turned upside down and there's no one there to catch you. Whoa! And so you ask yourself, who am I? What's my purpose? What are my gifts? And years later, you're still asking yourself the same questions. Cue the Sovereign Healer, the only psychic development and energy healing sovereign development school that'll help you understand your unique abilities without leaving your meditation cushion. Let's get it.
Yeah, it's an interesting, observation because, what I feel is that, what I have noticed and what I have observed during the years is that people start connecting and then they bring this frequency through them. And then in 5 years or 2 years, you see them that they are channeling other things and other things and other things. And don't get me wrong, there are people on planet Earth that are multidimensional channels, which means that in the same time, they can open a different civilizations and they can channel that energy. But all these people that are opening their channel and they start, 1 year, they are like this, the second year are another person, the third year. And if you see that inconsistency during a long, like a 10 years loop, and then people get very confused and that person is confused as well because that person is actually trying to find out what her or his soul mission is, what they are here to do, how to serve the world. And it's like, I see so many people adapting to the spiritual trends that are, that are coming up and they just try to keep up with the market. It's like, no, you're not keeping up with the market. You have to keep up with your soul and your spirit and, like to stay in integrity and stay there centered and do that one thing that you are missioned to do until the rest of your life. You are not like, today you are channeling this and tomorrow this and that. And what, when I see people like this, I see how confused they are and how they are seeking themselves in understanding, and some other people, I see channelers that they start doing this work and then they went back to 3D and took a job because it was a passion for them, it was just like, oh, I had this ability, but it's not for me, this is a lifetime mission with the 70 Arcturian Council of Light. It's like I'm like fully anchored. This is why I was born. This is why I let go of like 33 years of my life, and I was very good in that third dimensional structure. It's just like I let go of all my certifications and trainings and everything in order to become this person and to hold this field and to hold this frequency. So yes, I've seen so many people changing their minds, but when you are activating your divine soul mission, you cannot change your mind. You carry on with that until the rest of your days on planet Earth and maybe non-physical as well. So, and like this is when these, shifts are happening in some humans, you can see how lost they are and how they actually don't go deep. And this is the point that I want to make. When someone is just opening their chakras into, upper chakras and connecting, and they don't do the inner work and they don't go deep into their traumas and they don't do that dark night of the soul and they don't go into actually scooping out the density from their physical body, it's like everything stays here, until the heart is not going down. So it's like, in order to be an embodied leader, spiritual leaders or quantum leader or whatever you want to call yourself, you need to do the work. And it's not, many people are very superficial in how they're approaching all these tools, all these fifth dimensional tools, because I feel like many people, they are not going deeper within understanding who they are for, because it's not about channeling here. This is about you and your journey and understanding who you are, why you are here on planet Earth, what are you here to do, how to do what you are here to do, and all those things, So, and in order to get into having answers to these questions, it means that you need to know yourself. You need to know your human experience. Your human body. You need to embrace all aspects of yourself. You need to embrace, since the moment you are born and you are in your mother womb until you became this adult that you are today. You need to understand why the journey took you in different places. This is the interconnectivity. Once you understand yourself, then you can plug in and interconnect and become interdependent with another. Until then, if you are not knowing yourself, it's like you are still blind. You have these blindfolds and you are still trying to figure it out. So for me, someone that is fully embodied into their divine soul mission is someone that went deep in understanding who they are, and they are very committed in releasing all strings of codependency, because this is what the system wants us, with all the 90% of the population of this planet is codependent of the system, because they didn't find their inner power, and they didn't find the that sovereign self. So, you need to be sovereign in order to build a new earth. It's and this is why so many people are actually changing their minds, because they are not sovereign. They don't know who they are. They didn't do the inner work. They didn't go deep. They didn't transmute. They didn't dissolve. They didn't transform themselves, because so many people are waiting for others to transform them. This is why so many people are actually going through so many certification and trainings and plant medicine and retreats, and because they are waiting for the facilitator to change them. But look, nobody, no facilitator on planet Earth and no interdimensional, council of light can actually change you. You are the one that has to change yourself, and you are the one has to do this deeper work, and you are the one that has to take responsibility and ownership of your own process. So that's something that humanity is still learning, because we are moving from codependency into independency, and people are afraid of being sovereign and independent. They don't even know what that is. They are afraid of actually becoming, understanding the holographic field and understanding that everything is a mirror. They are not ready yet to take self-responsibility. So, this is why I love people like you, Victoria, and your partner, because you guys are doing this work. You hold the field, you and other divine union couples on planet Earth, So this is amazing. But this is why people need to actually understand that the ascension process is not, a bunch of star seeds coming together and having a party with some plant medicine.
Building a farm where we all just go off grid and never talk to anybody ever again. No need for Wi-Fi, no need for money. We're just going back in time to a trade system. And that is the new earth. I don't know. Maybe in 2021, 2020, I thought that that's where we were going to go. But now it actually feels like, no, I got to keep my feet on the ground to help planet Earth. This is about helping Earth. This isn't about transcending Earth. This is about helping Earth raise her frequency and us being conduits and stewards of that. And I don't know about you, but girl, it is very hard to stabilize your light, especially once you know what your mission is. It's all the fields maybe over here, maybe I'll try this. It's like fast food. Is it KFC? Is it McDonald's? Is it Wendy's? Is it this? And then once you're like, wait, it's not fast food at all. Okay? This is homegrown tomatoes right off of your own tree. This is your growth. This is your roots, your rise. Once you get there, it's phew, wow. Wait, there's a whole other awakening here. Now we're talking ascension, because now it's just me versus me, how I water me, how deep I've went into me, how patient I am as me grows. It's it is that constant regeneration of energy, but it's also that consistency of commitment. And I think that's the hard thing, is that we are in a society that wants it fast and that wants it easy. And I have not found fast or easy on my ascension path. Actually, quite the opposite. I have found arduous, beautiful, painful, just everything just cracked open, and yet also so hard sometimes. And when I say hard, I don't mean I've been working on the railroad. I'm talking I would do this 100 times over, but my goodness, am I scared? And my goodness, is this bringing stuff up for me? And my goodness, we got to make sure that, things are moving forward, right? Like we got to make sure that the work I'm doing here, that it continues to bring the most blessed energy I can to the world. And that's something that I would really love to see more people understand. It's like, we see someone like yourself who's such a beautiful channel, and your energy is just, oh my gosh, it's like, I don't want to, it's like a pure crystal. Like you have such a gorgeous frequency, but it has not been without the deep work that 99% of the population will never see, right? It's not without the continuation of devotion to the mission, especially when there is so much to be distracted by, allured by, tempted by, I'm sure, even to this day, from time to time in your own journey. So give me some juice here, Livia. Tell me something that you've been like struggling with on your journey. What's something that you've been navigating in your human consciousness that maybe nobody knows about?
Yes. So, during this journey, I was approached by darkness in multiple ways, from direct money offering to psychic attacks and interferences to my family being attacked, my mother that passed recently being attacked, and the list can continue.
Wow.
So, there is a huge sacrifice in this game, to be honest. And, it has not been easy, in any front. But we are moving on, like we don't stop. And there were so many times that they wanted for me like to stop. Like they did everything possible for me to not do my work, to not do my mission, to not transition the Arcturian Council. I was offered money to give access to my channel and so on, with a list of public channelers that everybody knows that they received money. So I was, censored social media, and my Instagram was censored. Like, for many years I couldn't speak my truth. So challenges are happening every day. But, I always,
Wow.
I know that this mission on planet Earth is so important, and, it's worth it. It's worth it for the collective and also for my soul, because like I'm not a martyr either, and I'm not sacrificing myself. I'm actually, navigating these spaces, and I'm staying, fully devoted to this mission, and devotion and commitment 100% to it. So, what I want to say is that, we have always, and, powerful leaders and pioneers throughout the history had always faced resistance and being shut down, but what we are doing is that we continue move forward, and we always put one foot on front of the other, and we continue moving forward no matter what's happening, So, and also, part of my legacy on planet Earth is activating, the incredible leaders that I'm activating. They're carrying the code. So, even if they want to take me out, this mission is going to continue because those codes are already there, So it's like, there is no way that this can win, there is no way that darkness can win in any way. But, there are many, many things that are happening. So there are many challenges, but I'm always navigating. I have so much compassion towards everything that wants to come in my field and everything that had happened in my life so far. And like, I'm navigating this space with so much unconditional love and forgiveness, because I understand that what's happening there in the third dimension is very contrasting. There is a duality. There is a lot of power struggle. There are a lot of, quantum and inner outer worlds. There is a lot happening here. But this is part of the struggle that a civilization has to go through in order for them to evolve as a species. So this is why, we are components strategically and perfectly placed in this web of interdependency in order to help. And in order to help this collective to evolve. So, nothing is lost, and nothing, I always see things, like nothing has been lost. And all the, every time the darkness want to try to hurt, it was just, I always meet these spaces with forgiveness and unconditional love. So, and this is what makes me this is what makes me invincible in a way, because no matter what's happening, I'm leading with a divine unconditional love, which is actually alchemizing everything in this incarnation and in non-physical, in physical and non-physical. For me, for me, the mission with the Arcturian Council and what I'm doing and how I'm activating people, I'm activating soul. I'm not activating human consciousness. So it's like this ripples effect at multidimensional level and a soul level is far greater than what we are doing here. What we are doing here, dear Victoria, is like it's rippling down through so many multiverses and at multidimensional level in ways that we can't even imagine or comprehend. And this is what I am like, I lean into, because I know that our work is already so incredible, and even if here in the holographic field looks a bit tricky still, we are doing this beautiful work. And, I love to go back a little bit to something that you touched base that I really loved and I want to highlight, in how important it is to be sovereign and independent. And you said something extremely powerful. You said, grow your own food and experience how it is to receive from Mother Earth in its purest expression. And I feel like what is, for us to, in order to actually fully activate this new earth field and for us to fully understand and have the experience on how it is to experience freedom in our physical bodies and in co-creation with our higher self, these steps of like becoming independent and, grow your own food and put your hands into the ground and like drink, purify, like pure water from springs and, connect back to Gaia consciousness because she's the mother and she always guided us. This is the most empowering thing that a human and a collective can do. Because then in the moment you are independent and you are, you have your own source of food and water and, you are in a space where there are no chemtrails anymore and you are not, inhaling the toxicity of the air every day, then, you are becoming, this is when your body becomes so pure that you understand what's going on and you unplug yourself from the collective. You unplug yourself from those structures. And I feel like this is the message that I wanna send to the ones that are listening that are, still trapped in the third dimensional structures, like, having a 9-to-5 job and, being in that third dimensional slavery wheel, for them to understand that real wealth and real empowerment comes from you becoming sovereign and independent in your own decisions and finding, creating that life for yourself that is offering you, the most nurturing and where you can experience who you are as an embodiment. So, so many people on planet Earth right now are still trapped. They are awakening and they don't know where to go and what's the next step for them. And, I feel like our missions and my mission is also supporting those people, because I've been one of those humans, that I awakened and I had no physical teachers, but I didn't have any human being. I didn't even know that there is another human being around me that is awakened, like the first channeler I heard Googling it was Abraham Hicks, and it's like, oh, Esther Hicks is channeling Abraham. So I'm not crazy, So I feel like it's important for people that are awakening and are still trapped in the third dimension, to understand that they are not alone.
Yes. And that it's totally okay, because now the conversations about 5D have been so normal and normalized, but we have to remember that it's not an overnight thing. That what's happening in Earth's evolution, what's happening in a planetary evolution, what's happening in a cosmic evolution, it's not something that we just wake up one day and suddenly everything has changed. And of course, that's not to say that we won't have miracle moments, but that does still mean that we have a mind construct and a body construct that will need the time to be able to implement, no matter how much our soul comes online. I have to go back, Livia. I have to understand what you said when you said that people have offered you money to give over your channel and that some of the greatest channelers have done that. Can you help me understand that? Because I'm very confused, but I need to understand.
Yes. So I was, this happened in 2021. I was in Hawaii at that point. And someone reached out to me to offer $2 million to have access to my channel. It was someone that had had a very good understanding of like how the quantum field works and, what does it mean for someone to actually give like souls. He was asking me to sell my mission for whatever money. Yeah. That I'm, $2 million is not even a thing these days, So it's like, and of course that I said no, but that person was very knowledgeable around that. And when I said no, I was attacked.
I was going to say,
yeah, I almost died. Like it was a couple of months I was in Kauai and I would end up like at the hospitals multiple times in emergency car. The doctors, were actually trying to like, they scanned me and they couldn't find anything. They didn't know what to do with me. And like what I have done, like the people that saved me was, before I was a trans channel, I connected and I learned, I was in a training with the Keoro shamans from Peru. And I reached out to them and I asked the elders to actually do ceremonies for me. And they did. And they helped me to remove what was, like the entire interference. And it was very bad. It was a really, really bad. At some point, the Arcturian Council told me, it's like, we need to disconnect of you because the channel, they are attacking the channel. So we need to disconnect of you. And if you are going to die, because I was not able to breathe, I was not able to see, I was not able to, like, I was dying. And they were telling me, it's like, if you die, don't worry, because we are going to, like, you are not going to even remember, because we are going to take another version of yourself from a parallel timeline and we are going to download your consciousness in a new body and you'll not even remember. So I don't even know if I died or not, because I know that at some point I woke up and I was okay. So after like 2 months of being completely like, attacked and like having these attacks all the time. And I had a beautiful friend that from Kauai that she actually like was guided by spirit, and she was not a spiritual person, but she came to actually help me, because I was not able to function like a normal human being. So yes, I've been through many challenges, in actually holding the field and staying in integrity and saying no. And when that person actually showed me a list with all people that actually received money from him, because he was saying, oh, this is just a donation, but I still want to have access to your channel. And I said, no, I'm not for sale. You can print your money. Actually, it's what I told him. You can print billions and stuck it up your ass, because I'm not giving you access. This is invaluable. You can give me whatever you want. This is not for sale. So, darkness always tries, and they will always it's a continuous thing that's happening. It's not like they happen only once. They are trying in different ways through different people in different, they are always trying. Yeah. And they see that I'm not moving a finger when it comes to this. Like, I'm here and I'm going to stay.
Oof. We needed to hear that story. I needed to hear that story, but I think I'm so glad that I went back to that, because that goes back to the entire topic that we've had about, which was Arcturian channel or false light. Like, are we being puppets to this game? And you are literally the perfect example of somebody who's like, I'm not a pawn in anybody's game. I am using my free will to submit to the will of my spirit, which is the entire ethos of who I am. I like to say, I mean, obviously we have free will, but I like to believe that I don't have free will, and I don't want my free will, because I want my free will to be God's will for my life. That's what I want my will to be. I want my will to be my mission, and everything else I will work on. It's like, my job is to be on assignment. I'm here on assignment. And the second I think I have free will, I could choose, to just go find that shiny thing. It's like, would you really do that? No, you probably wouldn't. So for me, I like to just say, listen, I'm on God's will. Like this is about fulfilling my assignment. Therefore, all of me that wants to, find these loopholes or find these shortcuts, or those parts of me when my human consciousness starts to get desperate, it's like, remember, you're connected to thy will, and that's the only will that needs to be done moving forward. But to your point, the amount of loopholes and entry points that I have noticed the darkness getting very tactical and very trickery, very, very, very trickery lately is at what I perceive as at an all-time high. Because even when my clients stabilize their light and we've gotten them on their, what I call your natural path of life, so your soul light, when they're in that light and they're on their natural path, the way that darkness tries to find new ways in their close circles, in the way that online stuff starts to happen, or the way that their relationships, maybe that person had a weaker spirit, meaning that they couldn't, stay fortified in their light, and then something happened and now there's, attachments and things like that. It's quite advanced. I have found now that the darkness is smart. I mean, it's not nearly as strong as the light, but it's certainly smart, like you said, because it uses the mind construct. So I'd love to end our episode with anything that you feel particularly called to share. I'm not the type of person who would ever utilize somebody else's channel to be like, channel for us. That is completely out of integrity for me. But I think you're just naturally just a beautiful conduit of information. And I would love to know if you feel called to share anything with anybody who's listening. For those who are presently at this stage of this episode still listening, what do we need to know about New Earth? What do we need to know about using our channels with reverence, or anything else that you feel called to share?
Yes. So, I think this entire discussion was, offer such an educational content for people that, are on this path of opening to channel and becoming trans channels. And maybe they will ask themselves twice if this is really in their divine soul mission or not. But, people need to, we are contributing to the reformation of this human race and, the reformation of the human being, but through our unique gifts and talents. And, my advice to the spiritual community around the world is try to find your authentic expression and lead with that. Because every person that has been incarnate on planet Earth, they have their unique gifts and talents, and your uniqueness will contribute massively to this reformation and transformation and, towards the path of the new earth and fifth dimensional embodiment. You don't have to become this or that. Try to, to let go of all these identities and become identityless in order to become everything. So if you want to feel your physical body or with your spirit, let go of, what your neighbor is doing, your friend is doing, your wife or husband is doing, and try to find your own authentic expression and path, because this is what is going to lead you to contribute massively towards this earth. And this is something, this is the message that I feel like to let the audience with, and to, to really feel into, what is their uniqueness, what is their signature, how they can contribute. And, sometimes you don't have to have huge missions in order to contribute. This is another trick, another thing people believe that, I have to be this and that, because if I'm not having a big mission, then who am I? And how am I going to contribute? Sometimes people can contribute only being themselves and just staying in your beauty, in your power, in your integrity. This is how you contribute. So it's everyone is adding up to the collective. But when we add individually in our unique way, it's just incredible. It's this rainbow that's being created. And, it's this diversity that creates unity and is leading us towards oneness. Because unity consciousness, that doesn't come from, similar things. It comes from diversity. So the more diverse and the more we accept our true expression, the more we actually, it's like pieces of the puzzle that are coming together, and we are making this big, beautiful consciousness puzzle that is the new earth. So this is what I would love to let people with, I would not say so much about, what's going to happen in 2026 and what are the forecast energy. I don't want to speak about that because everything is changing. The timelines are always changing, and everything is completely rewiring as the collective is rising. And what I have seen this year compared with other years, this year, the way the energy flew in the quantum field was very unpredictable. There were waves, and there were so many things that happened in the collective that awaken, which was not predictable in 2024. So it's I think it's time for us to not just, it's start to actually go in within, because inside of you is the power that's going to change the fabric of this reality. And for yourself as an individual, and then for the collective.
Oh, I feel like I just had a love bath. This was totally speaking my language, 100% speaking my language. And I'm just so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for everything that you're doing in the world. I'm so grateful for the way that you're doing it for the world. I feel like I've not only learned the integrity of which you lead in, but then also the depth of what has gotten you to the place that you can lead in the integrity of which you lead in. And that just makes me just so grateful to walk with another light worker on this path that is truly doing God's work. So thank you, Livia Devi, for being on the Spiritual Debate podcast. And now we always like to leave our listeners with a question, are we, in this case, an Arcturian channel, or are we puppets? I think in this conversation, it's pretty clear that you are truly the definition of walking in integrity, walking in truth, and walking in the full embodiment of what it means to be 5D. So we'll leave this question with our listeners, and I'll see you all again very soon.